So, such a pleasure to be back today, guys, for the last day of this coming in, this shared space of being able to bring everything back in, reflect a little bit, and create some space. And it's just been, I was just saying there to Jack, it's been such a pleasure, this sense of community that I've had all week, being involved in this festival. And we know as part of a huge part of the work that we do in supporting our young people and ourselves is that ability to find open-hearted connection with other people. And it's so lovely to have been here. And thank you so much, Ludo and Julia and Diego and Mandy, who've all been part of this insight sessions as well. Diego might drop in and join us as we go. So yeah, today I think I want to actually just reflect a little bit and go over some of the bits and pieces that we've talked about this week and bring in a little bit more practice. We've had every single day this chance to practice a short meditation and some breathing techniques, and it's incredible the space that we've had. So we'll bring that in just a little bit more today and reflect on some of the bits and pieces we've been talking about. So I also was thinking today that celebration is a real huge part of our self-care. And I know how often it gets missed. I see it with young people that I've worked with that have achieved incredible things, and the ability to really celebrate that or reflect on it sometimes can get overlooked. And a couple of years ago, when I was working, I was supporting a team of professional athletes, and we'd achieved the team podium for the first time in a long time. And it was so, we really wanted this. We really felt like we needed this, and we got there, and it was so incredible. But because we hadn't quite planned it right, we hadn't planned in the time to celebrate at the end of the day. We're then rushing on to another race. So all of a sudden we found ourselves in this situation where we'd achieved this situation that we really wanted. We got onto the podium, we had our moment there, which was full of heart and joy and a completely embodied in the moment experience. But we didn't get a chance to continue the celebration at that time. And I remember discussing with an incredible colleague of mine who, Beth Locken, who presents and lectures in dance movement therapy, and also is very interested in somatic experiencing. And she said, yeah, you guys, you've missed the celebration because we were all feeling a little bit flat. I was like, we've achieved this great thing, but we really missed out on the full celebration. So since then, I've always encouraged people, myself and other people that I work with, to bring that celebration forward as part of a reflective practice, or whatever that means, whether it's going out for the party at the end of the day, or if it is just spending some time to really connect with what happened. And as it is the last day, and we are celebrating this incredible week, I'd love to bring that into our practice a little bit today as well, reflection on how incredible this has been. So celebration is part of our self-care, going in and coming back home to our bodies. What we've talked about this week is how we can recognize the reality of the physiology of stress that could be a factor in affecting our performance or our ability to complete or do whatever it is that we need to do. And we talked within this about the effects on the limbic part of our brain, and we use the hand model of the brain by Dan Siegel, and this was represented by the brain being my hand here, and the part of the brain that deals with the emotional reactivity, the limbic system, and a brainstem here. And then the cortex of the brain, and especially the prefrontal cortex, that has this ability to soothe, regulate emotion, bringing the logic and the reasoning and the calm state to whatever emotional reactivity we might face. We talked about that because actually at times when we're facing burnout, we're really pushing ourselves hard and there's so much going on, or someone's pushed an emotional button, we can't flip our lids and get stuck here. And this means that we're stuck in this part where we're not really regulating and soothing that emotional reactivity. So we're going about that moment pretty clouded, really, in the emotional state, potentially causing harm to ourselves and other people. We know the story when we just get totally heightened, and there quite frequently. And I love to train this part. And mindfulness, this is what we're talking about today, is very active, and there's vast amounts of research to show that we can actually strengthen this ability, this prefrontal cortex, the ability to soothe and regulate. Why does it really matter? Because we have then space. And this space means that our bodies and our reactivity is not controlled by what may have been a thought or a perception that is very real. And our thoughts and our perceptions are so real, but they're not always the truth. They're not always the truth of our absolute moment-to-moment experience, projections of fear, of past experience, of other people's fear. So this is part of mindfulness that I think is just super cool, really great and very active. We talked about as well the effects of the overproduction of cortisol in our bodies when we can get really flooded and we can get into a chronic state of stress. And what's happening really when we signal stress is we start with the HPA axis, and this is a stress system that involves part of our nervous system, endocrine, immune system. And the end result of that pathway is the production of cortisol and production of stress hormones in preparation to fight, flight, or freeze. Cool, if it's acute and we need it, incredible. If we get stuck there, if there's an overproduction, then it can be harmful for us. We know we're looking at things like insomnia, health conditions, emotional reactivity, potentially muscle weakness, high blood pressure, suppressed immune system. Really, that's important to recognize, and I've seen this actually in clinical practice and working with clinical sports therapy over years, and with so many different cases, that is a reality that we can intervene on. And not always, but most of the time we can intervene with. And that's bringing in this ability to recognize when that stress state is there, when we're heightened. Whoa, we're suddenly noticing we're a bit more emotionally reactive. We haven't been sleeping for days. And can we bring in a regular pause, a regular practice, a timeout, really meaningful timeout as part of our training, as part of our commitment to professional development, self-care? What I really care about is our health, really our health when we talk about performance. And if we can bring this in, and we can do this and take care of this physiological response by taking the time out, by using diaphragmatic breathing. This is super cool because it intervenes in the nervous system where we might be up here with this sympathetic nervous state and fight, flight, and freeze, but we can use diaphragmatic breathing to come down here and be in this state, this parasympathetic state of calm, rest and digest. And once we've cultivated mindful awareness of our emotional state or our numbness, so it's almost easy to talk about pain and emotional reactivity when a lot of us also struggle with not being able to feel that as easily. And that might come in where we experience numbness or aversion. So really taking care of this as well and recognizing those realities of sensitivity and numbness. Sometimes they're just, I like to make the link to what Dan Siegel, psychiatrist, describes as chaos and rigidity. And he talks about this. And this is really, really important for us to take care of as well and normalize. It's actually part of our human experience to either exit our present moment with potentially fear, anxiety, aversion. And this is very real. But if we can notice the amount of times we exit, really take care of that and bring in this whole idea of coming back to our moment-to-moment experience, which really is in our bodies. It is in our inexperience. Then we can take care and we can really intervene on this process. So we discussed this and what it means as to come back into our bodies and notice these states is, yeah, we can think about when we've noticed our bodies becoming tight and tense. This is quite a frequent one. Shoulders and the neck are sore, or we can think about when our breathing gets shallow and it's not as easy to take those deep breaths, or we're uncomfortable, and some patients sometimes describe it as almost like they want to run away from their bodies, and or that we're experiencing just quite a sense of numbness, of not really being present. If we can't recognize it, that's also okay, because it is difficult to recognize, but we can still put in the breaks and the pauses, and maybe it means more to put that in on a regular basis, every few hours, or at lunchtime, or before bed, or in the morning. I'm going to take that 5-10 minutes. I'm going to put on a guided meditation, or I'm going to practice, as Diego loves this, 15 deep breaths, 15 deep diaphragmatic breaths, very intentionally. You're almost training this as a habit and training this muscle, so that it becomes much more normal, much more accessible when things are heightened. So this is a really lovely practice. And when we think about coming back into our bodies now, I wonder if we can reflect on any moments that we felt most awake and most alive. Any moments we felt that we've been really and absolutely in the present moment or engaged. And it might be that some ideas could be we're witnessing or experiencing a birth, a moment of surprise, of joy, of connection with another person. It could be being present for the passing of or for a death. It could be a moment of fear. You know, those moments where there's just nowhere else to be, and we're really experiencing that. If we really think about it on a physical level. And that's the commonality between those experiences. I often think about a moment that I had when I was really lucky enough to be in northern India, and I was as part of this meditation village for a little while, and it was a place where we'd come and spend, it was 5 days initially in a silent meditation retreat, which was a huge deal for me at the time. Completely hadn't been exposed to meditation, with so much fear around being silent for a week. Most people who know me, they know I can chat a lot, so there's a lot of fear behind that. But it was incredible, and there was so much energy after this week. But the point in it was we were practicing coming back into our bodies and into our present moment, our inner experience. But I felt this really viscerally, and we talk about viscerally in the body's tissues, when I visited part of this that was it was a part of actually the education setting within this village, and there was a lot of young children there, and they were singing and chanting, and there was hundreds of young people in this hall, and the chant it's a traditional Buddhist chant and it's called Om Mani Padme Hum, and the idea of this chant is to cultivate compassion and awareness. And it just went absolutely right through me. It was beautiful. Hundreds of young people chanting at the top of their voices. And I wasn't really sure what the chant meant. I loved the sound of it. And it's still not something that I use almost all the time, or very frequently, but it was so meaningful because it was just this whole experience of connectivity, human conductivity, as Diego often calls it, of young people getting together and cultivating this compassion. So it often comes to mind now when I think about, okay, I want to create some space. Nice little moment for me. So we really can think about these experiences, and it might make it more meaningful, might be more able to resonate with what it means to come back home and come back in. There are many difficulties with that. We did talk about throughout the week about why we are so kind of conditional. It's a part of our natural human experience to exit our present moment and exit our bodies, because it is scary. It is terrifying at times, really, when we're facing this. We're looking out our bodies and really experiencing something that is impermanent. We might turn in and recognize there was physical pain there was difficulty, there's health concerns, there's been trauma. So with this in mind, I think when we come in and we do practice in meditation, and whether the awareness is coming to our breath, to our inner experience of the body, the parts of our body, we really want to do this within what Dan Siegel calls as a window of tolerance. So a space that doesn't become overwhelming when we do bring our attention in. So really gently and compassionately, we can work within that window of tolerance and make sure that it's not too overwhelming. If it does become overwhelming, if it is too much, probably the natural reaction would be to exit and, okay, I'm going to do something else, or I'm distracted, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And then we can move around and do whatever we need to do to help and to soothe that. Some of the young people that we work with at Nudge Minds, we talk about this window of tolerance, and we talk about this, or we coach in how to resource as well, how to, when things get too much or there's overwhelm coming in, that's outside of that window, and in whatever moment, is what is it that creates a sense of safety for that young person or for us as professionals? Is it could be an image of a place or an idea of a place that has been really meaningful for you. It could be a person. It could be someone that's passed away, someone that's with us right now. It could be something, any idea that calms and soothes. And I know when I had this idea of resourcing, I was considering places that I'd lived in. I'd spent a lot of time living in the French Alps, and there was this area on my commute that was just the most stunning view. I wish I had a picture of it now to share. It was so beautiful. And that was such a space of safety for me, and a sense of calm that I would often visualize this. Or sometimes that I would visualize this idea of almost like a grandmother or grandfather like figure or presence of calm and compassion when things became overwhelming. And young people we've worked with have used things like light. You know, one young person recently brought out this idea of when we brought attention to the body, things got overwhelming, it was too much. Okay, this young person used this idea of, they visualized a blue light. It was super special because that young person took it into the environments that they found most difficult with, and used it and reflect and told us about that. They've used this idea of resourcing. So I will drop some ideas on this as well, and have dropped it in the chat in the last few days, where we can find more information from some of the people we've talked about. So when we are working with mindfulness and meditation, first thing is take care. When we're pausing and reflecting day by day, put in as much compassion as you can, because it's normal for us to exit, for us to get distracted. Working within a window of tolerance and really being gentle with our practice. And that means if we need to open our eyes, move around, consider an idea or space of safety. When we're practicing, if things get too much, we can come to that. So I would absolutely love to move into just a gentle practice now. With what we've said, really being aware of what is okay and what is comfortable for us. So we'll begin with a little, I think we've been seated for a while. So if you feel comfortable, we can have a little shake and move around with our hands and arms and just get rid of a little bit of some of that energy. Perfect. And this is cool to do with the young people that we work with as well. They just love this, getting all the energy. Nice. See the shoulders shaking as well. Beautiful. And that's nice. Let's roll the head and neck, maybe move from side to side. Super cool. Okay. Maybe we can bring the hands out now and just bring the hands and really squeeze and flick the fingers. If this doesn't feel right, then that's okay. We can maybe turn one hand up and one hand down and move this as fast as we can. Both sides. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And any kind of variation of freestyle on this, I love as well. With mine, we got to look after what we need to do. And then we're going to bring our hands up. Bring them up now. Yes, super cool. If you want, just let's see how we can move and how slowly we can move these arms and hands down if it feels comfortable. Just keeping this gentle focus and awareness on the palms of the hands. So lovely. I can see the slow movement. So nice. Maybe when the hands eventually do come down, we can bring our hands onto the low abdomen. This area beneath the belly button. And take your time, there's no rush somewhere around here. And we can begin by just taking a few noticing now the rate and rhythm of our own breathing. When we're working with this nice deep breath, we can if we can begin to expand that low abdomen and actually imagine this idea of fullness and movement in the abdomen as we breathe, and having the hands here to expand and move into. And as we exhale, just letting that abdomen fall back to the place that we started from. So as we inhale and expand and exhale, really letting go. Maybe as we begin to feel a little bit more comfortable here, we can imagine and take this movement from the low abdomen up into the chest. And we exhale and let go. Some people Find it easier to imagine this breath moving from the low abdomen, the chest, right up to the top of the head. It might feel difficult, and that's okay. And if it does, we can move and breathe in whatever natural breathing rhythm is useful. So we're practicing here this deep diaphragmatic breath of inhale and expand through the abdomen, then the chest, and exhale and letting go. As we move gently now into our last part of this practice, we maybe want to keep our eyes closed and just bring this gentle, interested attention to the sensation, the sound, or the movement of this breath. Noticing where we find it most easy to detect the breath. Maybe in this movement, or maybe we notice the sound or the sensation of the inhale and coolness as it enters the nostrils, and the exhale and warmth as it leaves. With a gentle, interested attention, can we stay with this breath moment to moment? And noticing distractions, as any moments our minds have wandered away from this anchor, this home base, to notice them and know it's okay to be distracted. Really bringing through this gentle compassion to noticing these distractions and gently coming home. Home to your anchor and your breathing into your body. In the moments that we notice distractions, there may be many. They may slow down, but those moments are where we really are cultivating this idea of mindfulness, where we're coming back home, noticing, accepting, and coming back home. And back now to the inflow and the outflow of the breath, or your chosen anchor, offering a relaxed, wakeful presence. And in this practice, we are learning to be centered, steady and calm with the sensations of our lived experience. Wisely aware of these changing sensations, this changing life. Resting now in a natural breathing rhythm with this breath moment to moment. Maybe as we are here now, we're taking 3 to 5 deep breaths. In our own time, as we gently rise from this deep nurturing of body and mind. In our own time, this 3 to 5 deep breaths. Maybe when we get to those 3 or 5 deep breaths, then we can start to notice how we are experiencing our feet on the ground, our the palms of our hands, our right shoulder and our left, or our hips on the chair or the floor. And we can gently move our head, neck or shoulders when we have finished these deep breaths, and roll and come forward or roll and come back. And maybe we want to just gently move or shake the hands or bring the hands up again. We might want to place one hand on the forehead and one hand on the back of the neck. We don't have to do this. It's quite a nurturing position to be in. Maybe we can bring the hands down, bring the palms together, and just have a look around the room and give ourselves this celebration and congratulations of actually taking this pause now. In this moment and each day this week, it's been so lovely to work with you all, and well done everybody for experiencing this and working with this meditation, this mindfulness throughout the week. I'm here now if anybody has any questions. And I talked about a few people that I mentioned that I'm just going to drop these in the chat now with actually some book recommendations. Now I'm going to be here. And thank you everybody for spending this time. In the next half an hour, I know we all need to get lunch. I'm here with any questions anytime. How are you, Ludo? Sleepy now?